Daemon level 39 upgrade. Alright guys, it's time to get this show on the road, and I'm going to start off with the lower chassis. I am not going to be upgrading it to aluminum or carbon fiber. I'm going to keep it stock. The main reason behind that is because it's made of plastic, it's very easy to drill holes wherever I want to put the switch and LEDs in. However, I am going to be replacing this one with a new one. The reasoning for that is there's a lot of, well, experimental holes that I put in for trying different positions for the switch and the LEDs. So I'm going to go ahead and drill the holes, clear out this back wall as well as this side wall so the LiPo can fit in there. As you see, I have done it with the old one. And then after that's all done, I'm going to dye it black. So let's go ahead and get this started. Alright, all the holes have been drilled, back wall removed as well as part of the side one so the LiPo can fit in there. It is ready to be dyed black. However, I'm not going to be dyeing it by itself. I'm going to be dyeing it with the new transmission box. A lot of you might be wondering, why in the world did I not get an aluminum one? Well, let me explain that to you. Alright guys, as you can see, this is the stock transmission case that comes with the Rustler. It just doesn't house all the gears and hold the motor. It also has these arms on the sides that hold the rear A-arms. Now this is where the problem starts if it's an aluminum transmission case. These will also be made of aluminum. Now when you take a jump the wrong way, this part will be exposed to impact, and if you have enough impact it will bend this arm, which means you have to bend it back. Over time, that hole in the middle starts to warp, so you cannot put that pin in, and then it just becomes a problem. I like being rough with my RC, so I want things to absorb the impact instead of taking it and bending it. I have the same issue with the caster blocks that are made out of aluminum in the front. Every time I hit a turn wrong, I have to take all this apart and straighten it out, and it's becoming, I just hate it. I like plastic, how it can bend and then go back to place. Metal doesn't go back into place, not without force, and usually when you use that force, it's not going to end up in the same measurements that it started off with when you got it brand new. So I'm sticking with plastic for now. Not going to do anything really special with it. I'm just going to go ahead and dye everything black. Start taking everything off Daemon and putting it on the new chassis and transmission. Alright guys, this is the dye that I use. It is meant for clothes. Yes, you heard me right, clothes. You can find this next to laundry detergent. However, it works wonders on plastic. Its instructions say find a pot that is big enough and deep enough for whatever you're dyeing to be completely submerged in the water. As you can see, this turkey pot works perfectly. Now, the pot will not be ruined after you use this dye. I've done it before and it doesn't dye the pot. I can't say that it won't do it with yours. I'm just following what the instructions say. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and start boiling this water and we'll get started. When you are letting the parts boil in the dye, you're going to want a way to pull them out to see if they're done. So just use some fishing line, nothing fancy, and just give it enough slack, and halfway through the middle or to the other side of the string you're going to attach something preferably made out of metal like a spoon, fork, to use as a handle to pull these out, because you're just not going to want to stick your hand in boiling water. Yeah, not a good idea. Alright guys, as you can see I went ahead and put in the dye. It comes in a powdered form. All I have to do is let it boil. The moment it starts to boil, I'm going to bring it down to a simmer, let it simmer for a little bit. After that, I'm going to go ahead and put the parts in. Alright, the water started boiling, so I put it on simmer. I went ahead and put the parts in. I'm going to be checking on them every 5 to 10 minutes, and it should be done anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes. Alright guys, it's been 30 minutes, and as you can see, everything is black. I'm going to let it boil for just a little bit longer, about another 10 minutes, and then I'll take it out and it should be done. And the last step with the dyeing is you just have to take it out, put it in the sink, run cold water and get all the extra dye off, and you're done. and it looks great. I love dye. And unlike paint, this will not rub off or get scratched off. It stays like that forever. It's wonderful. Anyways, it's time for the more tedious part. It's time to take everything off that chassis and put it on this one. And the transmission, I'm going to be taking it completely apart, cleaning it, and re-greasing it. So I'll show you how I do that. Ugh. Well, I guess it's time to get this started. Now I don't have to take everything apart on Daemon. I just have to get the key screws that hold in the front and the back to the chassis. So I'm going to start taking off those 3 and these 4. Okay, you should find it very easy for the whole front end just to come off. Now I need to go ahead and remove the 2 base screws on the receiver box and the 2 screws that hold in the ESC. Oh yeah, go ahead and undo the antenna as well as these connections for the ESC to the battery. Alright, receiver box as well as the ESC can now all come off. Go ahead and slide all that to the side. Make sure you don't lose any of the screws. Yeah, I didn't lose any. Okay. Whew. Almost there. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove the rear. And I'm going to start by taking off these 4 screws that hold in the rear shock tower. Okay, those screws are set to the side. Now I'm going to flip over Daemon and remove these 6. Those have been set to the side. Now I'm going to go ahead and take off the wheelie bar so I can undo these that hold in the rear A-arms. With the wheelie bar gone, I can now reach these screws. However, this one will not come out due to the motor. So I'm going to have to take the motor off, which is no problem because I have to take the transmission apart. I'm going to go ahead and start by removing these 2 to get to the gears. Now I can reach these 3 screws, the grub and the 2 that hold in the motor. Undo those, undo the grub so I can pull off the pinion, and then the motor can come out. Okay, motor's over there. Now I can go ahead and pull out these screws and then get the rear A-arms off. Okay, now everything should just pretty much fall off. There's the whole rear assembly. Go ahead and put that off to the side. And the transmission box. Now, this should be able to slide right up and out. And that is what I've been trying to get to. Go ahead and remove these 4 screws that hold in the ESC plate and take out the LEDs and go ahead, oh yeah, as well as the post for the battery cover holder. But that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and do that, and then I'll move on to the transmission box. There's the old and of course the new. I'm going to go ahead and put the LEDs on, the ESC plate, the ESC, the receiver box, the battery for the LEDs. I'm going to put on the top chassis and the whole front end all in one go. Then I'll go ahead and get started on that transmission. And it is done. Everything that possibly can get onto the chassis is back on. Well, back on the new one. Actually, on the new one for the first time. It looks good. Well, no more delaying it. It's time to go ahead. Start on the transmission. Okay, I got all 6 of those screws out. And remember, or an important note, one of these screws is going to be shorter than the other 5. So don't be alarmed if you see that or notice it. Okay, so there should be some electrical tape that's on the bottom. Take that off and you should be able to go ahead and pull this apart. This is going to be messy, so be wary, okay? Alright, as you can see, there are bearings in here. There should be a total of 6 of them. 2 in each side of the box, and then there's 2 more inside that gear right there. So I'm going to go ahead, and here is your differential gear. I'm going to pull that out. Yes, we're going to have to clean that out, and you're going to take this apart. It's really neat inside. A lot of people don't know about this gear, but yeah. Well, a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't know how it works. I really don't know how it works. I'll show you when I get to it. Next, you're going to want to pull this one out. Just like that. Now, it's an important note that this does have a washer on the end, so remember that. I do believe it has a washer on the other end as well. Yeah, it does. So there's a washer on each side of this one. Then here is your last one. This one is going to have a washer on each end and a bearing on each side. Go ahead and get all that out. And all this white stuff you see in here, that would be the white lithium grease that I use. Traxxas gives its own white lithium grease, and I would suggest go ahead and use it, but you don't have to. You can find white lithium grease nearly anywhere, any auto parts store, or you can even find it at Walmart too. Alright, so as I said before, there are 4 bearings. 2 in each wall. You need to go ahead and get those out, which isn't too hard. Just find a circular kind of screwdriver and just push on the other side. They should come out really easy. Alright. Do that for the other side. Now, this one does not have a hole on the other side, so you're going to have to pry this one out. But you're also going to have to be very, very, very cautious not to scratch it up, which is always a pain. I like to do Sorry about that. Went ahead and went to my toolbox and got a very little screwdriver. Just rotate it around. Now, if you're just cleaning your transmission case, you really don't need to pull this one out, not unless you want to clean the case itself. But this can be a bit of a painstaking process getting this bearing out. But yeah, just pull it on each side until it comes out. Alright, now we have both sides.